Hi everybody, welcome to this short video about writing your problem statement. A couple of key points. First of all, a statement of the problem or research problem or problem statement, we use all three terms interchangeably, outlines the problem addressed by a study. It also addresses an existing gap between current research and what you need to know. And it also is described in three parts: the ideal, the reality, and the consequences. A research problem may be defined as an area of concern, a gap in the existing knowledge, or a deviation in the norm or standards that point to the need for further understanding or investigation. We also, this could also really apply to the area of a benchmark. As well, because you don't have that standard with which to build from. A research problem also briefly addresses the question, what is the problem that the research will address? So the three parts that we mentioned earlier, the first is the ideal. So it describes a desired goal or ideal situation, how things should be. The reality describes a condition that prevents the goal, state, or value from being achieved or realized, and explains how the current situation falls short of the goal or ideal. Part C, the consequences, identifies the way that you propose to improve the current situation and move it closer to the goal or ideal. So let's look at this in the form of an example. So here is the statement of problem that since it's released to the public in 2006, Twitter has slowly made its way into the professional and collegiate sports world with a number of athletes, coaches, and officials creating accounts. So that's the ideal. The reality is, however, with no gatekeeping of the information can be tweeted, athletes can still easily break university rules and even cause NCAA violations through their behavior. A number of departments have created their own social media policies, but as we see in the consequences, there's still a dilemma about how far to regulate student-athlete usage. So this study will take a closer look at these Division I policies, how the athletic departments are handling situations that arise, and develop a theory-based plan which could be utilized by institutions when a student-athlete tweets something that ultimately causes a crisis. So again, this is one structure, and there's a lot of leeway in what ultimately is included in the ideal, the reality, and the consequences. Let me also show you another way of going about this. So this is kind of a template where you could fill it in and describe your research problem. So there's a problem in an organization or a situation where a problem is occurring, and despite efforts to prevent or deter, something undesirable has occurred. You want to provide some evidence, and then how this problem has negatively affected a particular aspect, and have who the victims are, because of what? A possible cause of this problem is blank, and perhaps a study that investigates blank by a method could help resolve the situation. So let's take the same example that we had before, and we'll just write it in this format. So here's how to do it in this format using the same example that we had before. There is a problem with student athletes at higher education institutions. Despite the creation of some social media policies, not all institutions have one for their student athletes. As a result, they could violate institution or NCAA policies, such as when an Ohio State player criticized the requirement to go to class. And here you probably provide more depth. I just threw that in there, making the new example. This problem has negatively affected students and their athletic programs because of the punishments received. A possible cause of this problem is a lack of social media policies to proactively define correct behavior. This study investigates best practices through content analysis and could help create a model template for future use. So again, see how we're saying the same thing as we did before, but it really depends on your preference and also the situation on which might make the most sense. So I'm going to lean toward showing you more in the previous example, but either one of these is going to be fine when you do the problem statement for your project.